Okay, there was just an absolutely crazy Bitcoin flash crash. You might be thinking, Dusty, right now the price of Bitcoin is not that much down. What do you talk about? Well, ladies and gents, I think this was the biggest Bitcoin move in 3 minutes that has ever been recorded. So to quickly make clear what I'm talking about, we saw Bitcoin go below 100,000. It was interesting, sure, and it been slowly trickling down over the past few hours, but all of a sudden, right, after here falling below 97.9 thousand, it just fell all the way to, on some exchanges, below $90,000 in the span of what, like 3 minutes or so. So it officially went down more than $14,000 in a day per one Bitcoin. Really crazy to think about it. Before bouncing back up, let's just quickly check this. So Bitcoin went from about 90,000 all the way back to about 96,500 in a span of like 3, 4, 5 minutes or so. So again, to put it into perspective, in a 10-minute time span, it went from, let's just call it 97.5 all the way down to 90. And then from 90 back up to about 96.5 or so, all in the span of 10 minutes. And I was asked, hey, does the S&P, here we have the S&P E-mini futures on the left, have anything to do with it? Well, it has gone down here throughout the last day, so perhaps it has. It's quite hard to say, but for the most part, it seems that because of the liquidation numbers, right? If we're taking a look at this now is updated maybe because I might have been idle here too long. But the last moment that I checked this, the 1 hour liquidations were at 450 million. And this was like 20 minutes ago because I've been on the phone with a couple of people to discuss what's happening. But right now it's back down, it's cooled off. But you can see on the 4 hour and on the 1 day, 1.1 billion got wrecked today. On the 4 hour, about 550 million worth of longs got wrecked. And again, you can kind of do the math right there. It was just a absolutely crazy moment. And for the last, how long has this been? Half a year or so, this was the craziest long liquidation spree we have ever seen. So if you had your positions wrecked here, you were completely bamboozled, distraught. You're like, what? Well, just realize that it's you and many, many others who got absolutely destroyed trying to buy the freaking dip for Bitcoin or for cryptos. But ultimately, one thing was pretty interesting. So if we take a look back at my Bitcoin expectations, I don't want to toot no horn, right? Because we were talking about Bitcoin to $120,000 for a while. If you guys remember, there were a few charts I've shown you though, right here, our breakout. Do you guys remember this chart? I didn't change anything today over the last like week or so. I'm not sure the last when we drew this in was. I think we drew this in on the 29th of November or so. We were saying, hey, if this breakout happens, it's probably going to bounce off of it. I remember saying that, and we had it drawn in and then go up. It bounced off a few more times before going up. Right then, it fell back, broke through. But you know the funniest part? Take a look at this box, right? This box was from 90.29. So if we extend it, 92.90, right there. If you had been really attentive and you were buying the freaking dip, what we basically instructed, I could have actually put the box slightly higher, by the way. I could have actually put it right there because of this previous dip. But it's just kind of funny that we were almost exact 𝗕𝗀𝗪𝗏 with the bottom right there. Again, I'm not saying you should have caught this. I'm just saying it is kind of funny that we were suggesting if a fall were to happen, it would happen back to 90,000. We were talking about, for jokes, in my opinion, talking about buying back at 90,000. And I really hope some people got in because I got a couple of good texts from people who said, oh, man, this is the most money I've ever made with Bitcoin's move back up. But I have to tell you that even I am not used to Bitcoin moving this much. I told you guys all, be ready, be strong, yabba-dee-ba-dabba-doo. But this much of a move in the Bitcoin price, I can't say that's usual. I can't say you should have been prepared for something like this. And truthfully, I also couldn't tell you that I was completely ready for such a flash crash. And again, there will be people in the comment section saying, Dusty, not a flash crash. No, maybe this time not, though. Because going down 13% in the last few I guess day or so, yeah, how about day? It's one thing, but mostly the crazy move of what, like $14,000 in the span of a day is just absolutely ridiculous. By the way, if you want to trade, for example, if you want to buy these dips with leverage or you want to short Bitcoin, whatever, there's a link down below to 𝗏𝗏, which is an exchange you can use from anywhere in the world. Yeah, actually, funny enough, Bitcoin seemed to be the worst performer here though. So I looked through and many of the coins that we know and love were not pumping necessarily throughout the same period. But they weren't really dumping. So that's why I said before, it's not really like it's a confidence market flash crash. It seems like there might have been a bad actor or well, actually, it seems like there was a bad actor that was trying to push the price so low that it cascaded a spree of liquidations. And again, when looking at the number, it does make more sense because we had a record amount of liquidations. And so perhaps they were looking at the open interest, trying to hunt for a specific number that would hopefully cascade through so they could get their shorts filled with a significant amount of profit. Now that we're on the topic of Bitcoin, there's a project I've talked about a few times over the past couple of months, and it's called Persistence. And you might ask yourself, well, what is their goal? What are they up to? Building for Bitcoin with persistence. To make Bitcoin DeFi scalable, we must overcome fragmentation. That's where interoperability comes in, and that's what Persistence 1 is building. And obviously now that Bitcoin is popping off, we're back above 100,000. Well, I mean, not today, but you get it. I personally think as well, it's time to start looking at what can be built on Bitcoin, built around Bitcoin. And I would always say DeFi is always a very big proponent of the crypto space. And obviously Bitcoin DeFi is pretty infant, and it's full of potentials and opportunities. And anyway, to power all that, they've got a token, Expert, 100% unlocked. One of the craziest percentages of staked tokens, meaning most people in it for the long term, they've locked it all up. And staking rewards of about 18.5% APY. And so in that, just staking it, obviously, if you've got it, if you want to be more involved with BTCFi, there's a nice opportunity in that, or by LPing maybe. So giving out your tokens and getting a pretty interesting yield on that to obviously also support the DEX. Here's what the DEX looks like, by the way, if you're wondering. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I personally think if BTCFi pops off, what is going to do well, right? Stacks, well, the other one that I could think of is Persistence. And it's been running for a long time, like 4 years. And there's a lot of interesting parts about it, actually. Like, for example, this. Persistence 1 is about to become one of the first Cosmos chains to borrow security from Bitcoin through Babylon Labs. And so it's just a really interesting connection to it all, between these different networks. And anyway, if BTCFi pops off, this is one of the tokens that will probably do well. Right now, as you might have seen from the socials, been getting more and more into stacks, and this is one of the alternatives that is more in an upcoming phase. The stack's already quite established. You can't literally compare it. I'm just saying one has been doing well quite recently. This one, Persistence 1, could be next up. I'm just saying. Looking through, I did see some negative Bitcoin daily flow, but it's grayscale, so that's not really too interesting. And I've been looking through. Some person just said, oh, this is the most amount of money I ever made because of shorting Bitcoin. Cool. Most people talk about a Coinbase premium or the fact that things are happening, but almost nobody is talking about why it's happening. Mostly just a surprise that this is the first time Bitcoin has ever moved $10,000 in a single candle. It's the worst crash we've ever gotten. A lot of people probably got wrecked today. A lot of people's lives completely destroyed when it comes to their financial stuffs. Right? Because again, most people are prepared for a dip, but most people are not prepared for a flash crash to this extent. And it makes me remember what I've told you for the last couple of days about the fact that this move right here, right, going from 65, whatever, all the way back down to 30,000 per Bitcoin, lost people more money than the whole of the bear market. Because here you're mostly like over time you get prepared for it. And back here, I don't remember exactly what day, but there was one massive flash crash in the middle of May of 2021, where a lot of alts went down like 80%, 60%, 40%. And this move right here, it was again also a candle worth a lot of money, but that is again in the span of a week, not in the span of 3 minutes. This week, it went down like $20,000, going from 46,000 all the way to 20,000. So let's just say it lost $20,000 that week. Here, we lost $10,000 in what, 5 minutes, it seems like. So relatively quite a big difference, but generally, I told you for the last few days that this was the worst that a lot of people have ever felt. And anyway, the only thing I'll say about it right now is they're trying to draw you out. They're trying to get you scared. A lot of coins are falling back down right now. SHIB is back down 5%. A lot of coins are down a few percent. Ethereum, Coronas, they're all down 5%. A lot of them are. But still over on the top end, man, it's interesting to see a lot of these coins pumping like crazy. And it makes the other side, all the main pumpers from before, Kaya, Quant, Algorand, a lot of the XRP a little bit. A lot of the coins that were pumping like crazy, or even Curve DAO's having a 7% move in an hour, are having a bit of a breather. Over the past hour though, most of these are looking a bit good. But anyway, as prices start going higher, it's also more volatile in the perspective of the amount of money that it moves in a day. The fact that right now a $10,000 move is not the entirety of Bitcoin anymore. It's just a daily move of some sorts. It's kind of crazy to think about, especially now that we went from 104,000 all the way to 90,000. So even a $14,000 move within a day, within actually a very short amount of time, within just a few hours, out of which $10,000 is in like a freaking snap in like minutes. It makes me realize, man, that the crypto space is changing, and it's from a certain perspective changing for the better. Bigger money, bigger goals, etc. In another way, it's losing its like close, is losing its coziness of being a small sector for the nerds, like they used to call it. It's becoming more and more mainstream, more TradFi, more and more money is pouring in. All these funds are just accumulating Bitcoin to have it. We've seen it with BlackRock, etc. It's changing. The game really is. And for that reason, I believe this altcoin season is going to be way bigger than the other ones because there's so much more money in it. It's so much more real, but it also just, I don't know. It doesn't feel the way which it used to a few years ago when it was kind of obscure. Not everybody knew about it. It was kind of like this thing you kind of kept secret, and now it's just a big flex. You tell everybody you hold crypto. What cryptos you hold? Where 10 years ago, it really wasn't like that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that was it for today's crypto update. Crazy times, that's for sure. But you just already know they're going to get even way crazier. Just wanted to quickly update y'all about the flash crash. And make sure you put the notification bell, because whenever something crazy happens, I'll be up to date here. But this, I was trying to figure out for the longest time why or what, but nobody's trying to tell us why. Literally nobody knows. Maybe something stock market wise, but nobody knows. There's some people saying, no, this was recession related. There's some people saying, no, the major barrier got broken for Bitcoin and thus it had to fall. But for the most part, most people are just saying, oh, it's a dip for the sake of dipping and Bitcoin making the biggest move. And so my opinion is it was just meant to be. Things were doing too well. We had to be pushed back into reality for a little bit. I hope y'all got schlepped back into it. See y'all later.